Hey guys, it's Cobalt here, and welcome back to another video. Yes, of course, this is going to be another video talking about the new LPS. They're currently available up on Amazon, link in the description if you want to order any. But anyways, I figured I would sit down and take the LPS that BasicFun sent me and compare them to our original G1 and G2 pets. So without further ado, let's get right on into it. Unfortunately, I don't own a counterpart for every single LPS I receive, so I will only be able to compare the Jaguar, the Pelican, the Poodle, the Walrus, the Bull, the Shark, and the Anteater. The first one I'm going to take a look at as the Bull. This is the one that I received from BasicFun, and then this is another one that I purchased myself from GameStop. As you can see, the quality on these guys varies a little bit, but I did discuss that in a separate video. As for the comparison to the actual Bull, here are both of them next to each other. When pictures of this one were first coming out, we thought they would be a lot more similar, but seeing these guys compared side by side, they're actually quite different from everything to colors and markings. The only thing that's really similar about them is they both have the gradient on their face, although this one's gradient is a lot messier and more pixelated than this one. This LPS is a bit damaged, so ignore that. It's a bit hard to see on camera, and I think it is the most noticeable with this pet, but this one's head is a lot larger than this one, and that was also a commonly asked question that I got in my Q&A video about these guys. So yes, their heads are ever so slightly larger than the original run of LPS. And I think that's probably because the plastic is different, so the way that it fills the mold might be a little bit different as well, but other than that, they're almost entirely identical. I think on the back you can see a little bit better that this one's head is clearly larger than this one. As for squishiness, this one is pretty rock solid. This one can be squished a little bit in the hair area, but this one is pretty hard compared to some of the other ones you'll see later in this video. I'm really just going in a random order here, but next up we have the Poodle, and here is her counterpart. So this LPS here was from one of the mom and baby sets, and it was made at pretty much the very end of the Generation 2 LPS run, so I thought these two would make a good comparison. Their base color is also quite similar, but this one is a little bit more vibrant. I'm not a huge fan of this base, but as you can see, they are again almost identical, although this one's head is ever so slightly larger. And then of course, this one's head isn't too squishy, but this one is not squishy at all. This one is a little bit squishy. Next up we have the Anteater. This one is very, very cute, and here is the other one that I have, which is a glitter pet. You can also sort of see that their heads are slightly, again, different. That's something, like I said, you'll notice with all of these pets, but other than that, I think it is pretty much the same. As I've discussed in a different video, not all of the molds have dates on them, but some of them do. This one says 2009, and the glitter one also says 2009, so you can see that they're the same base, but because of the different plastic, there's just a few inconsistencies in the overall quality and the size of the head. And I think the body plastic is almost identical, if not exactly the same. And again, here is a squish test for these guys. Not squishy at all, just slightly squishy, but not terrible. Next up we have the Walruses. Right off the bat, the main thing that I noticed between these two specifically is that this one's head is a lot more bobbly. You can kind of see this gap in between his head and his body, which I think helps a lot with the bobble and is something that I really like. This guy's head doesn't really bobble much, but that could also be due to age, but there's also not really a gap between his head and body. They both have slanted heads. Here is what the back looks like. Squish test, this one is not squishy at all, and this one is pretty squishy. Again, at least for me, it's really something that you don't notice until you actually roughly squish the pet, but if you're just holding it like this, like I never squished the LPS's head. I never realized how hard they actually were. These ones feel like if you stick one of these guys in boiling water and then squish it. Alright, for the final three LPS that I want to show you, all of them I have multiples of, so here are a bunch of different pelicans together combined with this one. Again, as you can see, even from far away, this one's eyes are the most noticeably grainy. There's pretty much no grain in these guys' eyes because these are actual G2 ones. Squish test, not squishy, and honestly, not that squishy either. This one is definitely harder than some of the others. Here is how they all look from the side. This one's paint details are definitely a lot shinier than the other two, which is also something that I've noticed with a lot of these new pets. And here they all look like from the back. From the back, they all look pretty similar. And again, here's the side. I think this pelican is probably one of the closest mold-wise to all the other pets. Next up, we have the sharks, which are one of my favorite LPS molds. I love them so much, and I'm so glad that BasicFun is making more of them. I mean, look at how cute they are. I love all my sharks. Here is how they look from the side. Nothing too much to say. I can't tell if the shark is bigger than the other two, because obviously this is made of the head plastic and not the body plastic. I think he's a little bit bigger, but it's hard to say. And then this one is pretty squishy because, especially since there's no neck peg in here, this part on the bottom is harder, so it gives him a little bit of stability, but as for the rest of his body, it's completely hollow, so the squishiness of it is definitely a lot more noticeable. Look at his little fin. That's so funny, actually. And then these guys are actually a bit squishy. I'd say the squishiness of this shark here is how the pelican and the Anteater feel, so it's still a harder plastic, but you can squish it. And this guy's a bit older, so he's not very squishy. This one was, again, from the last run of G2 LPS, so it makes sense that maybe the plastic's a little bit different and more similar to this guy, but again, the new LPS are all made of different plastic, so that's why they are squishier. But yeah, this guy's definitely pretty squishy on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least squishy, 10 being the most squishy. He's like an 8.5 or a 9. And finally, we have the Jaguars or Lionesses or Tigers. It kind of fits for all of them. You're probably wondering why I saved this one specifically for last. Well, my friends, it is because this one is the most squishy for absolutely no reason. Unfortunately, I only have one of these Lionesses, so I'm not sure if mine is specifically squishier than the others or if they're all like this. I'd also be curious to know if the Jaguar in the jungle set is as squishy as this one, since they're from the same mold. I'm also not sure if the color of the plastic is dictating how squishy they are or not, but anyways, squish test, again, very squishy, not squishy at all, and not squishy at all. So this one is oddly squishy for no reason. But again, they are so bobbly. Like, the bobble is even better than the older pets, which is really cool. And here is the side view, the back. Nothing too noticeable on the differences with these guys. Again, they're all quite similar because they're used from the same mold. The main difference is just all of the new ones have slightly bigger heads, as I've already mentioned like a billion times in this video. One more thing that I did briefly want to touch on in this video is, again, the eyes. As you can see, these LPS probably have the worst eye paint job out of all of the ones I received. Again, all the Pelicans, the two that I have, they both have very pixelated eyes. The Bull's eyes are not terrible, but the gradient on his face can get very messy, which I think has impacted the clearness of his eyes as well, because the eyes are printed right on top of the gradient, and I've noticed that that can also discolor some of the pets as well. I just thought this was interesting to touch up on again, because I was looking at one of my older G2 LPS and I actually realized that its eyes were a bit pixelated as well. The painting technique for both is still a bit different, but as you can see, if you look very closely in the corner of this one's eyes right here on the edge, you can see a little bit of pixelation, and same with the highlights in the eyes. Around the edges, they're ever so pixelated. It's definitely not as bad as some of the new ones, but I still thought that that was an interesting thing to notice. Even though I wasn't comparing it to anything in this video, I just wanted to show you my Chameleon's eyes, because this one definitely has the best eyes. I can't see any pixelation in these ones, and it looks exactly like it would be printed on an old G1 and G2 LPS. So there's hope the quality could get better. Maybe I just got lucky with a really good one, and maybe there's some way worse Chameleons out there, who knows. But yeah, I hope you guys found this video informative. I also have an unboxing video of all these pets up on my channel, as well as a Q&A where I answered questions. But of course, if you still have questions about these guys, definitely let me know down below in the comments, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!